I welcome you all to this webinar, which I believe is the need of the hour. It tells us about developing positive relationship with students, and I know somehow we all have been developing and building and maintaining those relationships, but it is important to realize whether we are doing it rightly or not, and whether we understand the meaning of developing relationships with them or not. Are we not getting too personal with them? Are we getting too personal with them? Do we know them? Do we know what they feel when we use our gestures? What happens? So for that very purpose, the agenda for today is to understand the need for NVC. Can anybody unmute and tell me what you mean by NVC? Anybody? NVC? Anybody? Okay, so NVC is non-violent communication. With non-violent communication, we all understand that we do not have to be violent. We have to be soft. We have to be polite, and etc. etc. But are we developing those skills in our class? Are we developing those in our school? Are we following the required strategies towards making a non-violent communication? For this very purpose, I would like to share one analysis with you, which I did it with most of you. Like, I sent this registration form, and in this registration form, I had sent some questions. So these questions have these answers, and I would like you all to understand what do I mean by these questions. So the first question was, do you think handling students is always an easy and fun-filled task for you? So majority of them have said yes, but I still have got a lot of people who said no, who said maybe it is an easy task. Maybe they are able to make their class fun-filled. Maybe they are able to handle these students in a positive manner. These are all the analysis that I have got from the responses that you people, I mean the participants, have sent to me. Do you understand the difference between violent and non-violent communication? And majority of them have said yes, but still we have an alarming number of 6% which says no, we do not understand the meaning, or probably we do not understand what is violent and non-violent. Where can you use this non-violent communication? Can you use it for developing positive relationships? Can you use it for completing your syllabus? So all of the above had the options as completing syllabus, positive relationship, to get the homework done, right? So you see all of the above is 47%, but only, you know, only positive relationship is given by 52.9. But I believe it can be done for all of the above. You can develop non-violent relationships, and you can develop non-violent communication for everything that you want your children to do. So I move to the next question, which is, which among the following is not a form of communication? So the options were verbal, non-verbal, written, and mutual. So verbal, everybody understand, is a form of communication, and I had mentioned not a form. And I was surprised, and I got this understanding that there are some teachers who felt that non-verbal and written is not a form of communication. It is. It is. Mutual is not a form of communication. It's a relationship, it's a sharing bond, but it is not a form of communication. But verbal, non-verbal, and written, all three of them are some forms of communication which we are using. And in fact, these online classes are teaching us more ways of dealing with non-verbal communication. Even when we are in the side of the screen, we are able to understand how non-verbally also we are impacting our students. So non-verbal is also a form of communication. Do you feel teaching online is easier than teaching traditionally? So yes is 23%, but majority of the teachers feel no, because somewhere we understand that communication is not being developed properly. We are lacking that communication with our children. We are lacking that kind of interaction, and because of it, we are missing our traditional teaching. Yes, we are doing online teaching, we are doing it for the sake of children, we are doing it for our happiness, we are doing all of that, but we still feel that it is difficult. And I totally agree on that. I believe, I second this thought that yes, online teaching is difficult, but if taken up positively, I believe it is a good way to connect to children. It is a good way to connect to our generation. So I now share my presentation. This was just an analysis that I showed to you from the forms that I received, and this was the analysis that I could make. Now the outcomes. So non-violent communication, we have understood, and in the coming slides, we are going to see how we can explore these strategies. Let me also tell you, teachers, we have some activities in this presentation, and I would be very happy if you participate in these activities. As teachers, you understand if our children do not respond to our questions, how we feel. So I'll also feel the same if you do not participate in the activities. So my discussion agenda for today is, what is communication? What are the components of nonviolent communication? How do we build a positive environment or relationship? And how do we build deeper connection with students? So these 4 topics I thought were the main topics, and these are the core integral part of developing positive relationship with our students. So what is a communication, first of all? So everyone has been saying communication. We are doing a webinar on communication. We are a part of communication. As of now, also, we are doing communication. As educators, I feel communication is a very important approach. Whether speaking to our management, our principal, our colleagues, the parents, and students, we are communicating with them on daily basis. I am sure you all recall the PTMs that we used to have in the traditional system. And many of us have started with the online PTMs, the virtual PTMs, just to make that communication, just to have that interaction with the parents, because the federal constitution also believes that parent teacher and parent school engagement is very, very important. It is very, very important in building up that communication, that trust, and that interaction. So how do we do this communication? How do we make them feel, that they are interacting with us? And how to monitor our control on our words? So as I showed you in the analysis, some of you people believe that non-verbal communication is not a kind of communication. It is. So your gestures, your words, your expressions, even if you stare at a child like this, you are giving a communication signal to the child. And this communication, of course, impacts the healthy relationship with the students. And I'm sure you are aware about all the conflicts that students have with teachers. Of course, these conflicts are silent, and because of which you might have come across you yourself being memed, or probably you might have seen a few boys and girls making, funny pictures of teachers, because they are just reflecting their frustration and irritation on that. And recently, very recently, during this lockdown times, I'm sure you are aware about that Instagram incident where this group of boys had this boys' locker room. Why are these kids into all this? Why are they doing all this? Are they doing it for fun? Yes. What fun are they getting in doing this? Because they are not able to communicate with anyone. Nobody is there to guide them. Probably everybody has assumed that the child is aware about it. And so we are not having any kind of interaction. We all are normally in a nuclear families, and mother, father, both are working, and the child is there. Recently, in the lockdown situation, I myself have found many of my friends and many of my relatives working online for 6, 6, 7 hours, and they're leaving their children with, mobile phones and maybe televisions. So what are we doing? We're not having any kind of contact with our children. And here I feel that teachers become an important part. There were times when parents used to say, you are the one with whom the child is spending most of the time. And we used to say, no, they spend more time with you because they are only with us for 6 hours. But that 6 hours, those 6 hours that we used to give to the child were impactful for him or her. And somewhere children are missing that. They are missing that, and they want us to communicate with them. Now, there are 7 essential elements of communication skills. As teachers, I believe all of us have read CBSE module on 21st century skills. And communication skill is one of a very, very important skill present there. It is very important for us to build better communication skill. It's not just sitting with a child and asking, who are you, what do you feel, and etc., etc. We have our own ways of reacting to certain situations. When we are irritated, we might not talk. When we are angry, we might, show that. But students, they have a very little vocabulary of expressing themselves. And it is very important that we understand them. We understand them as teachers if parents are not able to do that. We understand them as individual. We empathize with them. That's what children of today want. So the very first thing is listen. Just listen to me, listen to them carefully, patiently. Just let them, say whatever they feel like saying to you. Later on, react. But, before that, please don't react. Let them say whatever they feel. There will be times, when they share something personal with you. It's okay. We all have been, through those times when we had our own personal stuff. And these days with Facebook, Instagram, and all these social networking sites coming, there is a lot of thing, happening around. There is very important role of non-verbal communication, as I said already. So we have non-verbal communication where we have body language like posture, gestures, our eye movement, hand movement. So they get to know, when you look at them, they get to know that ma'am is angry. When you look at them, they know ma'am is joking or ma'am is kidding. So they know, they can understand your gestures. Being clear, whatever you say, please make it a point that it is very clear to children, because they cannot decode your difficult things and sentences. It is very important that you be concise in what you say. It is very important that you be confident in what you say. And I believe even if I do not know any concept, I will be confidently saying it, that sorry, I don't know this. I will getting back to you. But that message should go to them very, very clearly, that you are there to help them. Be personable. Sometimes you have to be a little friendly with these children, and sometimes you have to get into their life in order to know what's happening. And believe me, I have done it several times, and I have found out several such circumstances and situations where I felt that if I would not have gone into their personal life, probably the child might have done something wrong, or probably the child might have gone into some problematic zone. And lastly, be patient. Yes, it is too much to be asked from a teacher after all these situations and online classes happening, and then understanding child. It is important because sometimes in a rush of completing a class, in a rush of having an online class, we just forget being patient, and that's okay. I don't say that we do it intentionally, but it happens. So it's important that even if we are rushing with somebody, but some child is coming and approaching you and telling you that, ma'am, I want your help, we have to give time to that child. Now, when I move to the next slide, this is a difference that I have tried to create between a violent communication and non-violent. So violent one, none of us are doing, I believe. And we all understand that violent communication is not good, and it denies recognition, it diminishes the worth of person, it affects the self-respect, it is kind of a blame, duty, shame, guilt, all of that. But sometimes our gestures unintentionally make us do these violent communication, which I think we should all try to help with. But non-violent communication is something which enhances. So, non-violent communication will help you come together with child. It's okay to be a child sometime with your students because they expect you to do that with them, and have some fun with them, have some joy with them, have some delight, and inspire them. Sometimes share your own stories. Recently I remember when I this class 10th and 12th result came. So the class 11th girl said, ma'am, is it so difficult to study chemistry? How can students get 99 and 100 in chemistry? We don't understand. And how are you as a student? So sometimes it is okay to share your own personal things. They often ask you, because if they like you, they ask you, what college are you passed out from, what school are you passed out from? So it is okay to share with them these little things, because this gives them an encouragement. They feel that ma'am had done this, so we'll also try to do this. So that's what children want, nothing beyond this. There is a video, I am sure you will like it. This is on non-violent communication.
Personal relationships contribute to our happiness, but sometimes things can go wrong. We say and do things that create conflict between us and our loved ones. There is a way to avoid or resolve these conflicts, developed by psychologist Marshall Rosenberg. It's called Nonviolent Communication, or NVC. How does this method work, and how does it help us to be happier in our relationships? NVC is based on the idea that we all have the capacity for compassion, and that we only use violence or harmful behavior when we don't have a more effective way to meet our needs. It tries to find a way for everyone to get what really matters without the use of coercive or manipulative language. NVC focuses on 3 aspects of communication: self-empathy, the awareness of your own experience; empathy, the understanding of the other with your heart; and honest self-expression, expression that inspires compassion in others. Practitioners of NVC focus in their communication on 4 aspects. Observation. What are you seeing, hearing, or touching without evaluating or judging it? Feelings. What are your emotions without thoughts or stories added to them? Needs. What do you desire without thinking of the strategy to get there? Requests. What specific action would you like to ask without demanding it? The components of NVC work together. A typical NVC way of expressing something would be, when you do A, I feel B, because I want C. I would really appreciate it if you would be willing to do D. NVC is useful for connecting with others and living in a way that is conscious, present, and in tune. And that, in the end, makes all of us happier.
So I believe you liked the video. And Maya Angelou once said that whatever you say to people, they might forget, but whatever you did to them, they might never forget. And it's true for me, you, or anybody. So if we feel that somebody has hurt us, somebody has ridiculed us, somebody has made fun of us, we might never forget it. So how can a child forget? So that's the magic of empathy. That's becoming empathetic. And it allows you to connect to children. It allows you to give them the ability to say what they feel, and to allow them to put themselves into our shoes, and somehow, asking us also to put ourselves into their shoes, which is, I feel, very important thing. And it's important to understand their pains and emotions. And that's how we can definitely minimize the major problems and conflicts. The major components of non-violent communication are as follows. So you have to observant, you have to have feelings, you have to understand what your children need, and you have to understand how they request and how you fulfill their request. So for this, the components are already shown to you. So there is observation, what you hear or see. It's very, very important that we observe our children. And in today's scenario, when we are having online sessions, of course, observing each and every one of them is quite difficult. I understand. So you have to actually pin up their screen and, ask them. You have to keep on calling their names. You might be aware of some students in your class who want special attention. So keep calling their names, keep asking why they are not there in the class, why they are missing the classes. So all of the observation that we make in our classes are very, very important. What I feel, so the feelings, so you never have to be judged. These children, they want somebody to empathize with them, to whom they can approach and to whom they trust that they won't be judged. So your feelings matter rightly here. Needs, this is something very confusing for children. So they do not know what they need and what they want. So whatever they see, whatever they lures them, they feel that they need it. So it's very important as teachers to help them in analyzing what they need and what they want, and finally what they are willing to do. So it is we who are there to encourage them, to make them understand about all these components, and this we can only achieve with the communication that we do with. So the activity that comes now for you is you have to think about one of these situations must have happened. And I'm sure one of these situations must have happened in your class at least once. So, you might have seen students eating food in your class, somebody who is regularly coming late, a rebel student who refuses to sit and disturbs the entire class, or maybe a student who constantly asks non-related question and just showing off that he knows everything and hampering the execution of lesson. So can anybody unmute themselves and tell me if you feel anything on these situations, and if you really get these situations in your classrooms, how do you handle that? Probably I will as a teacher also learn something from you. Can somebody unmute? Yes,
Du-
Himani.
During my internship in GHPS, I found some students who are asking irrelevant question or not that good questions. At that time, I used to say that your question is so nice. We will discuss about this tomorrow. You have to find that answer, and I will also find. Then we will discuss in front of everyone. When I say this, then the student is like, "उसको तो कल मैं नहीं पूछूंगा question because ma'am will make me stand in front of everyone." So he or she will be like that, अब से क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछना because मैम तो मुझे सबके सामने खड़ा कर देती है. तो I think this tricks work for me, because if the student is hampering me with such questions, I always say that good questions, you have to find the answer and discuss with everyone.
So you encourage the questionings and the interrogations that children do, and handling them positively is a very, very good sign. Anybody else would like to say anything? Any reflections? Vinay?
uh,
Yes, Priyanka. I think you would like to say something. Priyanka, are you there? I think she has some network issues. Anybody else would like to say anything on this? How
Maybe you can keep a glass of water or something, eat before or maybe after the class. So maybe the way we deal with students matters a lot, especially during these times, because we don't know how are they going to react. So that matters a lot, I think.
Anishama, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Actually, I was thrown out of the meeting somehow. Yeah. So, yes, I totally agree with what Priyanka said. And I believe that these are certain situations which we come across normally, and we face this normally. But it is very, very important that we handle this situation with positivity. Another activity coming to you, and I'm sure the answers are quite obvious for this. There are three situations and there are three classrooms with the same situation. So there is classroom A, classroom B, and three situations. And you are supposed to tell which classroom, in your opinion, would be filled with joy and focus towards learning, right? So first is, nobody will be allowed inside my class without the homework. So the students say, ma'am won't allow, as you know, Himani has just shared, and let's just bunk the class, or maybe skip the class, or maybe just make an excuse that my network is not okay and I don't want to be in class. And the other one, the situation is, I hope you all will support me in starting the new chapter, and as soon as you finish the homework, I will be able to start a new chapter. So student feel, yes, ma'am is dependent on us and we have to be cooperative so that the class can go on with a good pace. So which classroom is a happy classroom?
B.
Yeah,
Classroom B.
so classroom B. So it is giving that positive thing. So, you know, sometimes, yes, we have to be strict. Sometimes we have to tell them, you know, that you have to get your homework done. But if the things can be sorted out in a personalized manner, I think that works well for the teachers as well as students. There is another situation, whoever doesn't get a book, you go outside and sit, and I don't want any insincere students like this. And then students say, I don't have money to buy the book, but I can't tell it to the teacher and she will be embarrassed. It happens in online situation as well. Probably the child doesn't have the device, or probably the child is not able to attend your class, and we are just assuming that the child is not attending the class. Probably he doesn't want to attend the class. So if we just make a call and if we just ask you, why are you not coming to the class, they will definitely come up with their problem. Like recently there was this girl was not attending class of mine, and then I made a call to her and I realized that she met with an accident and got a dislocation. Today only I got to know about it, and because of that she was not able to sit and she was not able to, you know, move the cursor and you know, operate the classes. So I've just requested if somebody can play the recordings for her, so that at least she's in sync with the class. So that ways I think we all can empathize with the child and understand why the child is missing the class. And the other situation is, stay outside, don't enter the class, you are very late. So the student somewhere develops that hatred towards the subject, and they say, I don't want to go to that class, that teacher always ridicules me, that teacher always gets angry on me, she insults me, I don't want to go to that class. So, you know, in that way, if we are very positive in the approach and we say, let's come, no, we'll start the class. Okay, I'm waiting, why are you not here? Until unless you don't come. I know you can't be doing this every time, but if most of the times you do this, then students will feel that yes, they are special and you are making them feel special. So in all the classrooms, I believe you agree that classroom B is the happiest classroom. Anybody who feels that classroom A is also happy, like if you are following this and it works for you, because it depends on situations completely. Nobody? Okay. So this is how a positive student teacher relationship can be made. So you have to know your students, you have to know their likings and dislikings. Yes, it is difficult, but if you try, you can. So I personally have maintained a register where I have all children's name, and I somehow, you know, normally I chat with them and I found out, okay, this child is very much into music, this child is very much into dance. So whenever the child is having any problem, you know, you can just deroute that particular thing to his or her hobbies, and it works well. Most of the times I felt that it works well. So, and they also feel happy that you are accepting them as whatever they are. Set high expectations. So you have to set high expectations. Don't spoon feed them with things, and tell them that I expect this from you. Students want that confidence that the teacher expects from them, and that's how they do well. So I feel that if we keep high expectations, even for, you know, the ones who are not scoring well, you tell them that I really expect you to do well, and I feel that they really do well. Last year I had a particular case of transfer, and these were two girls, and there was a time when both, you know, father, mother, as well as the kids were at a time, you know, when they felt they won't be able to make up to class 12th, and they won't be able to do well because of course they were a transferred case and they didn't know how to handle these things. So the content, the syllabus, everything was different. And somehow then father got the confidence and he said, don't worry ma'am, I'm going to help you, just help them in the school and I'll help. But children, they were like, no ma'am, we can't do, ma'am, we can't do. And you won't believe, 2 days back they messaged me, and they have cleared their class 12th with good scores, and they were so happy with their performance that ma'am, once there was a time we were not getting 33%, and we somewhere thought that we will fail, but you said no, you will pass, you will be able to do well, and we did. So that was somewhere was very much motivating for me as a teacher as well, because I knew that I had high expectations from them and they were working on that. Be empathetic and teach empathy. It's very important in today's scenario. It is important to teach our subject, but I believe it is more important to tell them to be empathetic. Empathetic, by empathetic word, I mean they need to know what's happening in their class around. They need to know how their friends are feeling. They need to know what's going on around them. So, all of that makes them a better human being and a better person. And of course, these generation are going to be in a very, very happy and safe environment. Be positive and energetic. It's important. We are passionate about our subjects. We are happy, and brag about them, smile in front of them, celebrate. At times you get to know, because it's online time going on, if there is some birthday in the class, it takes only 2 or 3 minutes. Just have a birthday song in the class, and the class will be full of energy, and they'll love you like anything. Build trust. So the trust can only be built with the confidence and the love that you share with the children. So you have to make that. And lastly, be you. Do not be somebody else, or do not try to imitate somebody. It is okay to be what you are, and it is okay to be how you want them to be taught, because ultimately it is your class, it is your students, you have to handle them. So you have to present your best version, but for that very reason, do not compromise on your exactness of your personality, so you can share yourself, right? This is another video.
There are a lot of different ways to build positive connections with students, but some simple ideas are things like greeting them at the door. When we greet our students at the door so that we make eye contact with them and make some little personal connection with them every day when they walk in the room, the whole class is a little bit more at ease, feels a little bit more welcomed into the room. One of the strategies that you can try for this is called the 4-H strategy. So you meet your students at the door, and they have to give you one of 4 H's before they're allowed to enter the classroom. And the 4 H's are a hello, a high five, a handshake, or a hug. At the secondary level, when we're talking about middle or high school, that's called the 3H strategy, because I'm sure, as you can guess, we drop the hug, because that can get weird and inappropriate. But even at the secondary level, greeting the students at the door, and maybe not every period, but just in that one period that you're having trouble connecting with, can really soften the way that they relate to you and how welcome they feel when they come into the room. You also end up finding out some really interesting things. You can see right away who's coming into the room with a chip on their shoulder or bringing baggage in from something else that has already happened earlier that day or the night before. And so you can try and head that off at the pass, because at least you know it's happening right when they come in by how they say hello to you. Another thing that you can do to positively connect with a class is to share some information about yourself. Students want to know about us, and they sometimes perceive us as being these kind of automaton, robotic beings who live, eat, breathe, and sleep at the school. I was teaching at a high school once that was very close to where I live, and I was in the grocery store shopping with my son in the basket, my infant son in the basket, and 2 of my students walked by me and did kind of a double take as they walked by. And one of them said, "Mrs. Dearborn?" And I said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" And they're like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm grocery shopping." And the kid was like, "What? I don't understand." Right? Because they have.
So this was the example that I wanted to share, I'm sure you have got these suggestions, and you must be wondering how this hug and high five and this hello thing can work in your online classes. They can. So when you start your class, you can just turn on, your video, and you can just ask these students to turn on their video for at least 5 minutes, because I know we all are dealing with grown up children, and their habit is to turn off their videos again and again. So you have to keep on telling them, please turn on the video, and you keep on asking them, and then there will be these handful of students who will turn on their video and rest of them will never do that. So in this beginning, you can just start your class making it a rule of your class. So you can just say hello and hi and just greet them of what is happening. Next is teaching with compassion. So again, a very, very important thing, and it plays a really very important role in building positive relationships. So giving smile to students and being happy to see them. So that's what I said, that you just turn on the video and tell them that you are so happy to see them. Speaking to the students regarding their positive performance. At times, there will be times, when the children are not scoring well. So it is okay. It is okay. I know it's not that okay, but if you tell them that your marks are very bad, I'm very, very angry, I'm not happy with you, probably somewhere we are leaving that void in their heart, and somewhere they're not able to understand where they went wrong. So it's important to speak to them about what positive they did. Even if they did not score well, just tell them about the positive thing, that yes, you should have scored this much, but then I thought that still whatever you did was also fine. Valuing and enjoying the diversity in your classroom. All of us have a very, very diverse classroom, coming from various caste, religion, and family backgrounds. So we should all enjoy and make it a part of our classroom. That's what is known as life skills. Accommodating the students who missed the classes due to technological glitches. And I would add here that not only technological glitches, but because of various things. Because Jomi, you got unmuted. Okay, thank you. So because of various, CBSE has given this thing that no child will be detained, and so we have promoted these children to the next classes. So they have missed the classes, and there can be some new admissions in your class. There could be somebody who has technological glitches happening. So how do we plan to accommodate them? So sending the recordings, sending voice recordings. If you cannot take the entire class, at least you can explain the content in a recorded form and send them to WhatsApp, or send them on any manner, and accommodate them. So they'll feel very special, and they'll feel very happy that yes, teacher thought about us. That's what they want. So encouraging students to submit assignments and attend classes regularly. I know it is difficult, and we all have been encouraging to the best of what we can, but probably sometimes we keep very strict deadlines for these assignments. So if we can be just little flexible with the assignment thing, and ask them to attend classes, tell them that what happens if they do not attend the class. So I think all of that motivates these children a lot. Paying attention and listening to students without interruption. So this I have already told you earlier. You have to be very, very patient while you listen to these students. You have to empathize with them and show them ultimate compassion that you can. And acknowledging very, very special moments and appreciating with positive notes. So when your kids do well, when they top the class, or probably they do a very, very nice test or quiz, something, please acknowledge them. Please take their names in front of the entire class, so that the class also realizes, and the other students whose names you have not taken are encouraged enough to do well. How to deal with non-serious students. Somewhere we leave this topic, somewhere we leave these non-serious students and say they are very difficult to handle. I know they are difficult to handle, but again, 21st century skills tell us how we can deal with these non-serious students. It's very important to involve them in problem solving. So you know who all are non-serious students, and sometimes we label serious students as non-serious students, especially it's happening in the online time when we realize that so and so child is missing the class, not attending, not submitting the assignment without knowing what is the reason. So once you know the reason, you realize that the child is not having the device, but the parents are, you know, corona warriors, they are doctors, and they are not at home. The child is all alone, she doesn't know how to operate the phone or device, or probably she doesn't have the device, and that's why she's not attending the class, and somehow you labeled them, right? But there are some students, some special categories of non-serious students who deliberately do this. They create problem in the class, they are not serious, they don't submit the assignment, they bunk your classes. And online classes, they have simple one excuse: ma'am, my network got disconnected, I was disconnected from the meeting. So that's how they are doing it. So, you know, in such cases, please involve them in problem solving process. There have been a lot of problem solving case studies, and CBSE has also included this case study thing in the examination pattern. So give them some life problems and ask them to solve the problems. These problem solving doesn't mean that you are going to give them numericals or questions, excuse me, but something, you know, which enable them to think, to keep them busy, to challenge them. That's what they want. Identify the learning problems that they are having. So if they are not paying attention, if they are not serious, if they are sleeping, yawning, not paying attention to your class, just try to understand what's going wrong. And I think that that helps. So for that very reason, you have to talk to them, you have to talk to them, you have to interact with them, and you have to build that communication so that the child opens up with the problems. It has been found in so many cases that the child is in class 10th and 11th, and then only it is realized that the child had some disorder. So the child could not hear, the child could not speak, or many of those cases, even the child, you know, was not able to see the board properly, and that's why she used to miss the class. A lot of things. So in that category, we have to be sympathetic, motivating, and encouraging. So obviously we have a whole huge you know, responsibility. And and then trying to match the level of difficulty with the level of skills. Sometimes we keep certain activities which are you know, common to everybody. So I think if you can just categorize our class with non-serious students and the rest of them, and we keep some separate activities for them, and but then it is very important that you convey it to the class in a way that they don't feel segregated. So, you know, you say, I have a various, you know, very special problem for child A. And then you say, give that problem to child A, and then say, now she is going to, you know, share the solution, and we all are going to appreciate what she says. Let's see what she wants to say. And the child will, you know, work on the skills in which he or he is good. How do you handle irritating students? So irritating students, as we have already discussed, they are the ones who will ask questions, unwanted questions. They'll ask questions which are not a part of the content and somewhere do not allow you to conduct your classes smoothly. So let them play with some fidget toys. I hope you understand the meaning of fidget toys. So fidget toys are those toys which channelize their energy. So they channelize their energy, and they need a little less interaction, and they need less concentration. So these students are able to handle it. Many subjects have various fidget toys. Like, I am a chemistry teacher, so I have got these chemical atoms and molecules which are ball shaped, and normally I give them to play. But now that we are in an online situation, so I have found out some tools where, you know, they can do some kind of simulation, and they can be a part of the class, and they are engaged, discussing their behaviors privately. It's very, very important, since they are already irritated. If you ask in the entire class, so and so child, why are you irritated, or why are you doing this, it is going to, you know, affect them, and somewhere your equation with him or her is going to be affected. And then permitting students to have time out after an assignment or activity. So if you have a 1 hour 15 minutes of class, keep last 5-10 minutes for these children so that they can approach you. So don't leave the meeting as soon as the, you know, class is over. You just tell them that I am here. If somebody wants to talk, and probably, you know, I want to speak to so and so child, can you please unmute yourself and tell me what's the problem? So they will come out and they will speak to you. And if not on the meeting, then maybe you can give some time, and the child can call you, child can come back to you. So that's how we can handle irritating students. So that's all for today. I have a very, very special film or movie for you towards the end. Please do watch it, and I'm sure you are going to appreciate. The starting part of that movie is, you might feel a little negative about it, but it is not like that. If you see the complete movie, it is very, very appreciating. It's very, very nice. So I hope that you enjoy that.